Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Juggernaut, and I'm here to talk to you about the Battlefield 6 beta, and how it's pretty good, but I'm just too old for it. So, if that sounds like an interesting topic to you, I'm kidding, obviously. I want to talk about the beta a little bit, about the progression in it, about the good sides, the bad sides, and stuff like that, and explain to you why it might not be for me, but I'm not important here. I'm talking about mainly my impressions about the game itself. I'll try to be as objective as I can, despite the fact that, like I said, I feel like I'm a little bit too old for stuff like this in its pacing, in its progression, and everything, but we'll get into details as the video goes on. So, let's begin with this. The gameplay in the background that you're seeing, I would consider fairly decent for me, except maybe at the very beginning, where I was... I'm coming off a fairly tilted run of, like, I think I've lost 15 or 20 games in a row. And I have not been able to win a game since the start of the second beta. Yeah, I do not know what the victory screen looks like in the second beta. Maybe there isn't one, who knows? But jokes aside, I don't think that, especially in larger maps, that me being terrible at the game is that much of a detrimental effect to the team that because of me they aren't able to win, especially if you look at the scoreboards and well, generally how I play and stuff. I don't think I'm the problem here, or at least I'm not the sole problem. But with that said, I've been having quite a lot of fun with the game. It's just not for me. So let's talk about the positive sides first. It's a very successful beta launch. I've had the minimum amount of bugs. In fact, I've encountered two. One where your weapon disappears, and so does your scope and everything else. So you just sat there running around with no hands or anything, just, you know, just a basically, and that makes it annoying and difficult to shoot, if nothing else. So the only fix I found for that was just to reload the game, and it worked fine. It happened only once during the beta, so that's fine. The other problem I found was in the UI. The game wouldn't let me exit to the main menu. It wouldn't let me exit to Windows. It wouldn't let me go back. I was just stuck. No matter what I clicked, it would just bring me back to the same screen. Again, just Alt F4, load the game back in, worked fine. So those are the only two bugs I found in both the betas. So this one and last week's one. So overall, I would say it's a pretty successful beta launch. Servers were rock solid. As far as the net coding is concerned, hitboxes and everything like that, it's okay. I have died behind a wall once or twice, so it's not perfect, but, you know, I would say Counter-Strike 2 currently is way worse, so Battlefield's in a good position as far as that is concerned. Now, let's talk about the actual visuals of the game. I was going to say something else, but visuals, I think, is another great thing, and I want to sort of emphasize the great things about the beta first, because I do think it's good. So, the visuals are pretty good to awesome, depending on the map. Some maps are a little bit too grey, and I understand that the game's going for realism, and I've seen pictures of I've seen photos of places where the maps are supposed to take place in real life, right? So what they're trying to recreate, and yeah, it's pretty accurate in terms of the colours and the drabness of it and stuff like that. But it is a video game, especially the map that you see me playing on in the Conquest section of the video, which, depending on how long my commentary goes on, might just be the entire video. But yeah, the ridge one with the snipers on the top and everything, it's just the same color across the entire map. But some of the other maps are, like I said, pretty lively, rich, nice looking, very well detailed. I like that there's not that... well, there is a lot of clutter, but it doesn't interfere too much with the gameplay in the maps. I would maybe clean up the streets a little bit, remove some of the props and some of the objects, but just a tiny bit, just sort of clean things up and make gameplay a little bit more, well, clean. I'm thinking back to the days of Battlefield 2, right, where you wouldn't have that many props around, and it actually contributed to the game a little bit, I would say, whereas if everything's cluttered, you tend to get a little bit overstimulated by the, you know, 11th watermelon that you shot today, thinking it was a human. I'm kidding, obviously, but you get what I mean. Like, there's a lot of debris and stuff, and fair enough if you're going for a lot of destruction and a lot of, like, a very lively and dynamic map environment, that's fine. But I'm talking about the regular clutter on the streets and stuff. Maybe I would remove some of it. At any rate, the maps are pretty good as well. They have a few problems, but I expect those to be tweaked. Some maps to be balanced more, expanded, and so on and so forth. It is a beta. I don't expect the game to be perfect on launch, let alone closed testing, and there is a good bit of development time left for this game as well after the beta. So, that's great. The gunplay is good as well. The time to kill, the time to revive, the time to, well, everything seems pretty good. The weapons feel satisfying. There are various weapons, from carbines to assault rifles to shotguns. I think shotguns are a little bit too much close range, if you ask me. I think I have a bit here where I kill like 8 people with a shotgun. I just mow them down. They're a little bit much, I would say. But all of that put aside, it's good. It's good. It's fun. That's the most important thing. Like, I've lost 15 battles in a row, and it hasn't frustrated me to the point where I want to smash anything. It's been fun. You can play with vehicles. Vehicle combat is good. Vehicle driving is atrocious. Sorry. I think third-person maps, third-person views for vehicles are a mistake. I would stick to first-person, like in the older Battlefield games. You go in, you're in the driver's seat, you don't see much. Sorry, that's the downside of being in a tank. You need to use infantry to support you, and so on and so forth, but in third person, it's, yeah, not a big fan of it. On the other hand, what I am a huge fan of is the gunner seat. Oh, I'm having so much fun with that. The gunner seat on both the chopper, the APC, and the tank are really fun to play. It's like an on-rails shooter. You get to take a break from the running around a little bit and just, like, mow people down. It is really fun if you know, like, well, if you have somewhat decent reflexes and know where to look and can sort of predict where the enemy might hide from a tank. It is really, really nice. So gameplay in that sense is good. Snipers, I think, are relatively well balanced. They do have that... Whoops, sorry about that. They do have that... glint that you can see at a distance, so especially with the, oh, sorry, not especially, only with the higher magnification scopes, so that's all right. I've seen that in BattleBit. I was a fan of it. I think it's okay. It lets you counter them, lets you see them at the same time. It's there to balance things out, basically, and at the same time, it's not overly punishing for the snipers themselves, so yeah, fair enough. What do I have problems with? Well, I'm going to start off with some objective things that I think could be very easily fixed in the release. The UI is atrociously bad. I don't know who designed it, but if you take a look at the amount of negative space in the main menu alone, it's giving me a headache. You click play, and then in order to actually play the game, you need to scroll down to find the mode that you want. Oh, sorry, not to find the mode, to find any mode, not just the one you want, any mode. And then if you want a specific one, it's hidden behind more menus and clicks that you need to get to. Why not simplify it? Instead, the majority, like 90% of the screen, is taken up by a bulletin board, news, and just useless background information. Like, what? Why? Why? Just a simple menu. The class icons, I think, are pretty terrible, and so some of the other ones in the game, but relatively easily fixable, right? I mean, you can use an... God, I dread saying this, but you can use an AI to redesign it to make it look a little bit more representative of what it is, right? Like the assault class, the engineer class, and the support class. Triangle, square, and whatever the hell that is. It looks like a bridge on the map, like a representation of a bridge on the map. What are those icons? Like, none of them mean anything. They don't convey any information to me. They're just random. They might as well be 4 blank squares. I really don't know. The triangle for the sniper kind of makes sense, a little bit, maybe, but why not make it a crosshair? Or the scout class, I mean. Yeah. I get the fact they don't want to focus on specific weapons for different classes, because, excuse me for a second, I'm just going to close the door. Get the fact that they didn't want to focus on specific classes, or specific weapons for classes, because they have this open weapon system where any class can use any weapon in certain game modes, or rather in most game modes right now. And so I get that you don't want to focus on like an LMG for support, because he can use an SMG or a assault rifle or even a sniper rifle if he wants, etc., etc. I understand that, but at the same time, it's like some representation of what those icons mean, and like they should convey some information. Anywho, it's a minor detail. It's irrelevant. The lighting, I think, is a little bit problematic as well when you're indoors versus when you're outdoors, and generally speaking, with explosions and glare and stuff like that, it's a little bit blinding and it's a little bit overstimulating. I would prefer, like I said, a much cleaner design. I'm thinking back to the days of Battlefield 1942, Battlefield 2, Battlefield 3 and 4 also had, I think, better lighting overall, even though they did have the fancy destruction and details and sun rays and everything. It felt a little bit cleaner and a little bit more visually appealing, I would say. And also, I think people are complaining that without anti-aliasing, the game looks unplayable with the edges and stuff. I played with anti-aliasing on, and I don't have a problem with it, so I can't speak from experience. But anyways, there's that. And now I get into the problems I have with the Battlefield series currently. And maybe not so much with the series as with the player base and with the expected player base and with the target audiences. It's a little bit too fast for me. It's a little bit too chaotic, and maybe fast isn't even the right word, because I preferred BattleBit, and BattleBit was very fast. However, it's chaotic, and it's reminiscent of Call of Duty Warzone to me, and I know that this is a criticism that everyone throws around, that, oh, Battlefield is now copying Call of Duty, and it's terrible, and whatever, and often it's unsubstantiated, or rather it's really poorly argued, or argumented, sorry. Here's what I mean by that. There is no sense of a front line anywhere, which I think is a problem. You can have a large map and have a front line on it, right? BattleBit had that most of the time. In Battlefield 6, currently, you can get killed in your HQ, you can get killed on any of the spots on the map. There is, especially in Conquest, there is zero continuation, nothing, right? No sense of front line, no sense of this is where we're fighting, this is where it's safe. Nowhere on the map is safe. And it contributes to a very fast, dynamic game, a lot of running, a lot of gunning, a lot less downtime, because threats can lurk from anywhere, and you can jump into any spot of the map and have a bigger or a smaller fight, etc., etc. And I get that some people like that. I don't. I'm old, and I don't. I prefer situations like I had in the gameplay here when I was holding, I think it was the F section, and I was playing as a support medic and I was giving people ammunition and reviving them and stuff. We had an outpost that we were defending against the enemy, right? And then we lost it and then we took it back, and this is the kind of stuff that I like, right? Take back and lose the same position. Rather than that, the game seems way too chaotic, where enemies can come from any angle, and the spawns are super generous as well. You can spawn not exactly in the middle of a firefight, but almost in the middle of a firefight. And the time between your death and your respawn is way too short, I think, for my liking. Of course, a lot of people are going to love that, and I respect that, and I don't hold it against the game. I'm just telling you what it's like, right? And so, it's fast, it's dynamic, it's fun, but not for me. I prefer a not even necessarily slower paced game, like I said. I'm not that old, I still have somewhat decent reflexes. I'm still trying to get used to the aiming system, because when you start shooting, your sort of gun slows down, and it's a little bit difficult to drag your crosshair from target to target. I'm just sort of getting used to that still. I haven't played that much of the beta, I think I have like 6 hours in it or something like that. So I'm still getting used to some of the shooting, and I'm trying to be more accurate and stuff like that. Yeah, fair enough. But like, it's a bit too much, right? Everything is a bit too much. It's a little bit overstimulating, I would say. Also, the class abilities and the superpowers that you get, quote unquote, with like, well, not superpowers, it's power-ups. Very different. Sorry. The power-ups that you get from accumulating a certain amount of score, like UAVs, ammunition, drops, stuff like that, also feels like kill streaks from Call of Duty, and I'm not a huge fan. And then the whole Stimpak mechanic behind the assault class being, you know, and then, you know, it's quote-unquote superpower, and this one does feel like superpower, is when you inject the Stimpak, you can see enemies everywhere on the map, like it's almost like a wall hack, except you don't. Well, it's a map hack, right? It's effectively what it gives you. Yeah, like, not the greatest fan of that. I prefer a more boring, mundane shooter where you're just a soldier, and the difference between classes are the equipment that they can use. And that's about it. Repairing vehicles is also incredibly fast, and I understand that, especially for a younger audience today, sitting there and repairing a tank for 2 minutes might not be the most exciting thing ever, so they sped it up. You can repair a tank from 0 to full HP in, like, a relatively low amount of time, especially compared to Battlefield 3 and 4 and the older ones. But, yeah, like I said, I don't know. Just not my cup of tea, I suppose. On the other hand, there is something that I really, really do like, and that's the gunplay and the sort of... how do I put this? They're not really gimmicks in the negative sense, but the fact that you can mount it on a wall, the cover system that you can deploy, I think that's very, very good. Again, reminiscent of Battlefield, where you can build fortifications and stuff. That I really like. So it's sort of a duality of, I really like some of the innovations, and some of them are a bit too overstimulating and a bit too much for me personally. But I think especially a younger audience is going to love this. It's gonna feel more at home than some of the slower paced Battlefields and some of the more tactical ones. But yeah. Moving on to the progression. The progression system feels kind of lame, and I use the word really harshly, but I use a really harsh word, but it feels kind of lame. You just progress from one rank to the next, unlocking weapons. That's it. None of your progression is tied to the type of weapon you're using, the equipment you're using, or your actions on the battlefield. It's all tied to just the experience that you gain. And that's how you unlock everything, from weapons to equipment to attachments for weapons, everything. Like I said, not the greatest fan. I understand why it's being done, though. From my understanding, they're trying to sell battle passes, and they're trying to sell skins, and they're trying to introduce, they will introduce some form of microtransaction in the game. That means that if you see a cool skin for a sniper rifle, you don't have any sniper rifles unlocked, you're not going to buy it. But if you have all of them unlocked by default, just by playing the game with any class, there's a bigger chance of you buying them, right? And so that's the reasoning. And I hate it. I really do. I mean, first and foremost, any game that introduces a battle pass to me, I tend to right-click uninstall immediately. It's a personal thing, right? I understand there's a lot of people that like the battle pass system. You pay a little bit for the game and you unlock a bunch of cool stuff, and they're alright with paying a little bit extra to support the game and whatever. Fine. I'm not holding that against you or necessarily against the game itself, as long as the battle pass will not sell you a sniper rifle that will do 3 times the amount of damage of all the other sniper rifles, right? Or give you some incredible advantage that players that don't pay for the battle pass will have. If it's purely cosmetics that you're unlocking through the battle pass system, you can introduce 50 battle passes as far as I'm concerned. Within reason. 50 within reason? What are you talking about? Are you insane? Within reason is what I mean by that is, I don't want a battle pass system of Call of Duty where you can unlock Captain America, what was it, that cat, it wasn't Nyan Cat, it was something else, where you can unlock anime characters, where you can unlock characters from various TV shows, and have that running around the map. I swear to you, if I see Homelander running around Battlefield 6 and people screaming how it's awesome, I will never touch a multiplayer game ever again aside from Counter-Strike. I swear to you. Because it's not that type of game, right? Or Darth Vader or something like that. We're turning everything into Fortnite, for Christ's sake. And it's too much. I realize I'm saying a little bit too much in this video. I haven't prepared a script or anything. I'm just going from the heart because I think that's going to be a little bit more meaningful, because if I prepare a script, it's going to be a little bit more robotic, and I'm not going to tell you everything that I really feel, and so I'm going sort of based off emotions a little bit more, and based off just raw impressions rather than coherent, and, well, I'm hoping this is coherent, but, like, rather than like a script that's laid out nicely and structured and everything. I think that a sort of more raw and emotional response is also valid for the beta, and for my impressions of it. And so, yeah, as far as the skins look semi-realistic and tactical, I'm okay with it. And they do, so far. I mean, aside from having a blue tank with triangles on it as one of the rewards, which is teetering on the edge, right? It's sort of there, but not really. Outside of that, I think the rewards are pretty good, right? The classes, the player models that you can unlock, the weapon skins, the attachments and stuff look fairly realistic. They also have those little keychains that you can attach to your guns. I'm fine with that. It's a small detail on a weapon, makes it personal. Completely fine with that. But anything beyond that, and like, you know, blazing cloaks and rainbow-colored run trails or whatever, and I am out. But there seemed to be no indication of that being applied to the game, and there's no ridiculous elements in that sense. It's going to be probably a little bit more grounded in reality than, well, than Call of Duty, but that doesn't take a lot of effort. But probably a little bit more grounded in reality than the previous Battlefield game as well. So that's thumbs up for that, I suppose. And then there is one more thing in terms of progression, and that is a sense of meaning. I don't get it. I don't, not progression. I don't get that sense of meaningful progression that I had in some other games of this type, like BattleBit. In BattleBit, you could unlock skins, which are pretty cool but realistic, with a large amount of kills, right? And it took hours and hours and hours of playing that game. In fact, I'm going to look up right now how many hours I have in BattleBit. BattleBit Remastered. I have 155 hours in that game. That is less than I thought that I did. I thought I had like at least 300 plus. But at any rate, for 155 hours in that game, I unlocked a lot of stuff, and it was really fun, and unlocking everything was fun, because it was based on the weapon. You get the AK-12, and you have to use it, and you have to get like 2,000 kills with it in order to unlock everything for the weapon. Granted, you unlock most of the useful attachments and stuff at around 100, 150, 200 kills, and then after that it's just cosmetics. I would love the same system for Battlefield, because it would keep me playing the game. It would make it so that I want to log in every day and do the challenges and unlock the cosmetics, and if the game does that via battle passes and daily challenges, it's one of those new internet trend things that I just hate and I don't want. I don't want to do daily challenges to revive 100 people in order to unlock a new keychain, which is pretty much exactly what these, like, there's a whole challenges tab that's pretty much exactly what's going to happen. If they're not daily and they're just challenges there for you to complete whenever, perfect. Exactly what I want. But with the daily, you then lose a chance to ever unlock that keychain if you haven't played the game on that particular week, right? Hate that. I hate that so much. I hate the time restraint and constrictions when it comes to unlocking even like any type of cosmetic or anything in the game. And so, yeah, I don't really get the sense of meaningful progression, and I also don't get the sense of that meaning when it comes to playing the game itself on the maps because of its chaotic nature. And again, I'll point to Battlefield 2 or BattleBit Remastered. If any of you have played that game, you know exactly what I mean. Once you've taken a point, whether it be in Breakthrough, whether it be in Rush, whether it be in any of the game modes, once you've taken a point, it feels like you've achieved something, right? It feels like we've now moved forward and we're doing something. But in Battlefield 6, I guess part of the reason is the smaller maps in multiple aspects. One, it makes things more chaotic, gives you less room to maneuver. On more open maps, you can have a less of this being a persistent issue. But I don't feel a sense of achievement in anything I do. I revive 6 players, like set up the outpost and stuff that gets overrun, and I go back and retake it, but the focal point of the battle isn't there because there is no focal point of the battle, and that's really what I'm missing from these games. I remember in Battlefield 2, I remember even in Battlefield 3 and 4, you had focal points on the map where there was constant fighting and you were trying constantly back and forth to get to the point. And once you did, and once you were holding it, it felt like you were progressing. In Battlefield 6, it feels like I would get to this difficult to reach point and then an enemy would just spawn behind me. Or would, you know, whatever, like an airstrike would take me out, or a chopper or an airplane or whatever, and I would respawn back at HQ and nothing matters anymore. Whereas you had those same elements in other games, but it felt like progression. I don't know if it's the player base, because I think you can get the same thing in Battlefield 2 with 2 organized teams. However, you would need 2 organized teams of like 32 people per team at least, in order for this to feel right. But with the very fast movement, with the very fast gameplay and everything, it also lends itself more to chaos. And that's not what I like, and for that reason, and for the previous ones that I described, I think Battlefield 6 is a great game. Is it worth the asking price? I don't think so. I think it's a little bit too much to pay full price for a game like this, especially because I don't see myself playing like hundreds of hours of it, but that's just for me personally. I'll get it on sale. Regardless, though, it's a great game. It has the potential to be a great game if this is what you're looking for. If you're looking for a more chaotic style shooter with a lot of fun, a lot of dynamics, a lot of movement, a lot of action, this is for you. If not, it's a good game, it's just not for you, and that's where I stand. I'm a bit too old for it. I prefer to get an update for BattleBit Remastered, finally, after what, almost ago. It's coming on to like a year and a half now or something like that. That game's dead in the water, but I would prefer something like that over this. So, unfortunately, it's a great game. It's just not for me. I'm too old. Anywho, thank you very much for listening, ladies and gentlemen. These have been my first impressions of the Battle 6 beta, the current one and the previous one as well. It was the same thing. I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed it. It's just, I had my fill. I've played like 5 or 6 hours of it. Don't really want to go back to it. I've had my fill. I've experienced all of it. It's a bit overstimulating for me, and I don't feel that grip that makes me want to keep coming back to it, which a lot of people do. And I understand there's going to be a controversial opinion. I'm not saying it's a bad game, which is why I really want to emphasize this in the title and then throughout my commentary. I think it's great. It's just not for me. And yeah, that's about it. Until next time, have fun. Take care. Bye-bye. Oh, and if you're still here, do like, subscribe down below if you enjoyed. It helps the channel out quite a bit, and you'll be able to stay tuned with the rest of the content that I produce on it. See ya.